Hi guys, welcome back to the Mission Empowered podcast with me, your host Emily, and today I am joined by the gorgeous, fabulous Anna Moon, who is going to talk us through everything running. Welcome, Anna.
Thanks for having me.
So I always like to do, I know we've just had a little chat, but I always like to do a little intro for the listeners of like who you are, but also how we know each other, because I don't normally have like randoms on this. There's always a bit of a background. So you do a little intro, a little bit about you, babe, where you are. So obviously you're not in freaking England. And yeah, just a little bit about you, babe.
You don't hate me for that. So I'm
No.
Anna. I am the owner of Train with Anna. So myself and Emily, we have similar business model, don't we? However, mine is a little bit more lent into running performance and sort of like high performance coaching as well. I live in Dubai. I already told you I'm 32, and I have been coaching for 6 years and personal training for 8. So yeah, that is a little bit of background on me. I am a passionate marathon runner, but I do currently have a spinal injury, so that's a little bit on the back burner. But we're all good. We're all good, and
And
we
you're
met
very good.
through.
You're very good at
Sorry.
documenting it, aren't you? Because that's what you talk
Yeah,
a
I
lot
love
about
it.
on your
I really,
Instagram. Yeah.
yeah, I really enjoy it. Like running came into my life 3.5 years ago, and I never expected to love it like I do, which led me on to studying a running coaching course, and yeah, it just sort of led me down this path, which I didn't expect actually to have. So yeah, it's been incredible.
Amazing. Well, we're going to delve into that now. So, like Anna said, we know each other from businessmanship Instagram.
Yeah, it was from business mentorship, wasn't it? I think we fell into the same one about four
Yeah,
years ago,
yeah,
three
yeah,
years
yeah,
ago.
yeah. And we've just sort of kept in touch, haven't we? God, we've had some good
Yeah,
chats. I feel like I've been with you
yeah,
because you
we
moved to
have.
Ibiza for a little bit when I first met
Yeah,
you.
yeah, I did actually. I lived. So that was 6 years ago.
Right. Okay. Wow.
So that was in
Okay.
lockdown. Was that lock? Wait, was lockdown that long ago?
No, you wouldn't have moved to
No,
Ibiza in lockdown. I don't know. I
4 years
feel like you
ago,
did.
4 or 5. Yeah,
Yeah, but we've known each other, haven't we, for a while, and it's been lovely to follow you, so like going to Dubai and all stuff like that. It's been
yeah,
really cool. And then obviously I
yeah,
got
yeah. I
married.
moved to Ibiza in 2020.
Yeah, lockdown. Wow,
Yes, it was 5 years ago.
bloody hell! I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we know each other. And I've been dying to get you on the podcast, but obviously I've been having a baby. You've had your shit going on. It's been in the pipeline for a long time. But if I was going to go to anyone and ask about running advice, just anything, you would be my go-to gal. So
Thank you.
no pressure. So tell me quickly then, the running qualification coaching that you're doing at the moment. So what does that entail?
So I am almost finished. I'm not
Yeah.
officially finished, but that has just been almost, to be honest with you, that has been an addition to what I've already learned and studied
Hmm.
myself previously. So I actually I got myself through the 3 marathons that I've completed, and I learned so much on the job. Like you know the score. We've
Yeah.
become qualified as personal trainers, but most of what you learn and understand is through experience,
Experience.
gaining it
Yeah.
yourself, test trialing as well. So yeah, the running coaching qualification is like just the cherry on top of the cake, which I've almost finished, which has been amazing. So yeah, that's just helped me to
Amazing.
deep dive like even further and officially confirm everything that I already know.
Already know. And sometimes that's nice,
Yeah.
right? And like you
Yeah,
forget
yeah,
stuff
yeah. It's been
after.
amazing. It's been really reassuring that I'm like, yeah, like triple checking, like everything that I know is correct. And but at the end of
Yeah.
the day, like you build the success from the experience and you learn on the way, don't you? So yeah, it's been an amazing experience and I've enjoyed it a lot.
Amazing. So let's start at the beginning then, right? Why do you feel people start running? Or women, let's talk about women because, we're
Hmm.
like a 98% female podcast here.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
why do you feel like women start running? What do you think is the primary reason?
Honestly, I think that the biggest sway for most people is fat loss for women. I think that
Yes.
I think it's generally what takes people to run in. And then when they realize the benefits that they get from it outside of that, I think they
Yeah.
continue it. And also, we work with a very similar demographic of women who have children, busy
Yeah.
lives. I think also it's like, it's a really easy, accessible way to exercise and escape your kids for an hour. So I think
Yeah.
that you've probably got a mix of those two.
Yeah. Okay. Fab. So what?
Yeah.
And this is your genuine question because I've got my opinion on this, right? What do you? uh, Right. Let me give you my opinion, and let's
I
see
was
if
gonna
you
say,
agree
tell
with
me
that.
yours.
You don't even know. Like this is just what I think, but you are the expert in this area, right? If I ever get a client that says to me, I literally had this conversation with one of my clients at the moment. She, want to lose fat. It's a primary goal. I want to lose fat, get fit, get strong, change my physique. Amazing. So, calorie deficit, nutritional food, getting her steps in, doing her resistance training. She's then got this real good confidence. So she hops on the treadmill. She does a little jog. She's like, I didn't want to die. Like, I loved it. I want to build this up. She is then like, right, okay, I now want to sign up to a half marathon. I'm like, cool. And she's like, and I'll probably lose loads of weight doing it. Now, my opinion on that is when people start running for fat loss, they see the running as the answer to the fat loss, whereas I believe it's not. I actually believe that sometimes running can hinder fat loss because what it does to like your hunger hormones, it's a taxing exercise. Like you can be tired if you're not fueling properly, therefore you're then going to eat more. So I actually don't believe that running is great for fat loss, but maybe that's my like lack of understanding how to run for fat loss. So I would love to get like your opinion on how you incorporate, both, if you
Yeah,
do. Or,
it's a really valid point of what you've had is because it's the perception. It's something that I have mentioned to me a lot of like, oh, I want to join your team because I want to lose fat and run marathon, and the fat loss will be an outcome of the marathon prep. And I'm like, no, that's the opposite because you would be unsuccessfully running a marathon, training for a marathon to get a performance outcome if you're losing weight. That's not
yes,
what you want because when we are losing weight, our performance generally can hold in terms of the gym because it's not that high intensity in
yes,
comparison to doing 800 meters interval. So yeah, that we I think there's almost like a baseline of it. If you're someone who's a conditioned runner and you've been running for years, you've run multiple marathons, half marathons, fairly easy for you. Yes, you could use it as a tool to manipulate your fat loss, but
mm-hmm.
90% of people don't. They don't understand how taxing it is. And then you're exactly what you've said. I agree, is that people can't regulate their hunger because they're like, oh, I'll just run, not eat my breakfast. And then they're so freaking hungry that they raid the
Yeah,
cupboards. And
yeah.
so we've got this
And
like
as a
huge
coach,
yeah,
we expect that. We're not like as a coach, we expect that when you are running, you should be fueling because you want to feel good on that run. You want to
yeah,
recover. I always explain it that running is a performance goal, fat loss is a physique goal, and you're doing opposite actions. In
yeah.
my opinion, you're doing opposite actions for the outcome.
I think you can balance it. So I think you can get both out, but it's the
Okay, great.
distance and the time. So if you want it, running is a good fat loss tool if used
Mm-hmm,
correctly. So say for example you're just starting running or you run 5 to 10K, it's really easy to get a good amount of cardio in
mm-hmm,
without taxing yourself too much. The only mistake people make is they'll like you've given someone a 10K step target, not to get too technical. So if you
mm-hmm,
say you wanted to effectively use running to lose body fat, the issue that people have is we use steps as like a baseline to burn calories, don't we? So we're like,
mm-hmm,
right, if you do 10,000 steps, you're going to burn 400 calories in a day. And then you're going to do workouts on top of that to add extra activity. Now, people will do a 10K run and then not do any steps on top, and therefore not technically be burning more calories, but they'll think that they can eat more because they've run 10K. That is how people also gain weight with running because
mm-hmm,
running is also viewed as this like people need to fuel now. You
mm-hmm,
don't necessarily need to fuel for under 60 minutes cardio. So
mm-hmm,
that's where people are not understanding their line because it actually does get a little bit technical. But say, for
mm-hmm,
example, you wanted to lose weight and run, I would say stay under 10K.
mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
would be because you're under an hour's exercise. Is you can do it at a lower intensity and
Mm-hmm,
you can regulate the hunger a bit better. But you are right. Like when it goes into half marathons, you can, but you need to have someone telling you how much food you need to eat on each day in order to
on
do
each
it.
day. Do you know
Yeah.
what I just
So
started saying? You said it's so nice to be reassured. I feel like I've just got reassurance from you because that's exactly what I would say. Like with clients, is
yeah,
that what you want to start running. Let's do 5K as a goal because we know that that's not necessarily going to impact um our fat loss because it's manageable. It's cardio. I
Yeah.
also recommend for fat loss clients, and I don't know whether you'd agree on this, if you are going to be doing like your cardio as 5K with fat loss, just clock what your steps are before you do the 5K, and then maybe don't incorporate them as your 10K steps as well. Like add them on
Yeah,
top, or just remember,
absolutely.
yeah,
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. And like again, there's only a limit of how far you're going to be able to go on that, because if someone's running 10K, then they've got to do
yeah,
10 on top. Like, I mean,
yeah,
I do that personally, but maybe I have more flexibility than other people. So I think
yeah,
it'd just be like trying to find a moderation between the two. But you can lose weight. Like I coach women to lose weight whilst prepping for halves and fulls. But you need to understand that like there's going to be more work that goes into it. Like there's got to be a tip off point of how far into the prep we do the diet. Depends on if you've got a performance goal or you've got just a generalist goal of finishing, and then gets technical. You've got to leverage the calories. So on a long run day, we need to have a certain percentage of eat back of calories burned to still lose weight but not gain weight. So yeah, it does get a little bit more technical, but you can do it. I do
yeah,
coach it, so it's
yeah.
just
And obviously like recovery as well, because that's massive, right? With running.
yeah. And that leads into the strength training question that we're probably going to answer a bit later on. Is that
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a
you
minute. Yeah.
and it
Um,
is all going to depend on experience. Like if you're new to running, like you are going to take so much longer to recover, because where your fitness levels are not there, you're rather than running in zone two, which is nice and easy, which is a recovery pace, which shouldn't impact fatigue. A lot of people's heart rates are like 180, which means the amount of muscular fatigue that they've got is insane. So the
cool.
ability to recover from that is like you go into CrossFit and doing a high intensity 30-minute EMOM
Yeah.
vs you going and sitting on the bike for 20 minutes. Like it's very
Yeah,
different.
yeah. It's not the same. Babe, this is
Yeah.
great. Let's talk about, let's just backstep a little bit. You just mentioned
Sorry.
heart rate training. That's all right, because we're coming into it anyway. So, right, before we go into heart rate training then, I don't know whether this is a yes or no answer. It's not a yes. I know I've already answered Mona, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Running for fat loss, yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
I'm going to
But
say
with,
yes. Managed correctly and try
yeah,
and stay under 10K and you'll find it
yeah,
easier. But yes, you
yeah.
can do it.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. Pure, actually, and you know what? I'm walking proof. One of my goals was to run a 10K 6 months postpartum, and I did it bang on the day, the 11th of April. My baby was Eliza was born on the 11th of October, and I still lost fat in the run up to
Yeah.
it because of
Yeah.
how I managed it. So yes, but
And
on
you took
longer
your
runs,
time, if you take your time to do it, yes, but like I don't think that it's a good idea to go past a certain distance with a certain experience and still be
I
losing
agree.
body fat. You're just going to keep impacting your recovery, which is just not it's not the right thing to
Yeah,
do.
yeah, I totally agree, babe. Okay, so let's talk about, like you just mentioned then. So, are you big on heart rate training for running? Do you feel like that's a good way to improve your
I think
running
it's the only
fitness?
way,
Oh,
personally.
great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like it is the way to improve it. You will like data shows us that you will increase your performance even if you don't specifically stick to certain zones, because you will increase your body's ability to deliver oxygen to the muscle, which is how we get fitter. But that will not be as impactful as if you did stick to the right zones. You would see a greater
Okay,
result. So yeah, I train clients in specific zones for certain outcomes.
amazing. I don't know how easy this is. Quick breakdown of that,
Yeah,
or
I will give you a breakdown. Absolutely. So I think the most important one is what you'll probably hear everywhere, which is like zone two, easy aerobic.
yeah,
That's almost like when you think about building fitness with running, think about a pyramid. So
hmm
we want to do the most of the runs at the bottom, which is like the base. You would never build a pyramid without the foundation, would you?
hmm
We view zone two, easy aerobic as the foundation. So that would
amazing.
be new runners should spend 90% of their time there. So,
Okay,
like I said to you earlier, like having zone two fitness essentially means that your body becomes significantly better at delivering oxygen to the muscle and using
hmm
it to produce energy efficiently. So that's how we get fitter. So we would do that by training in this zone two. A really easy way to figure out what that would be to take the number 180 and minus your age. That's where you want your max average heart rate to be when you're running.
zone two. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So
With your
I will send
clients,
you.
do you get them all to track? Do you get them all to wear heart rate monitors or watches? What
Yeah,
do you
so
recommend?
like heart rate again depends how serious the goal is. If
Yeah,
someone's like, I just want to run 10K, I just want to run.
yeah,
We're like, cool, take it a little bit easier. Or I have someone at the moment training for a 3:35 marathon. Like it's serious commitment. So we're
yeah,
training specific paces, heart rate zones need to be met in order for her to get the best outcome. Heart rate
yeah,
monitor is going to be more accurate because it's near your heart,
yeah.
logically. Um, Apple Watches are so crap for heart rate monitors. They're inaccurate. Garmin's are better. But you can get most fitness watches connect to a heart rate monitor and you can get them on Amazon for like 30 quid. So
Amazing.
it depends how serious your goal is.
Okay.
But the thing that most people struggle with is actually getting in the zone two to start with. So I would say try and start zone two training once you've reached 6 to 7 kilometers comfortably. And
Yeah.
maybe before that, just try. We say to our clients, like, try training at an RP like 3 out of 10. So, like, just nice and
Okay.
easy, try and breathe slowly. But if
That
you're
is easy.
very new to
3 out of 10.
fitness, huh?
That is easy. 3 out of 10.
Yeah. Easy. Yeah.
That is easy.
Keep it
So for
easy.
anyone
Yeah.
listening, RPE is rate of perceived exertion. So how hard you're
Sorry.
working out of 10. So three out
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
10. What's in zone two?
Yeah, yeah, and the thing is, like, you also have to understand. People get frustrated. Why can I not build zone two? Zone two
Yeah.
has to be owned. Like it have to be built. Like if
Ah,
someone said to you, like, "Oh, how come you've got big biceps?" You're like, "Well, they took me 10 years to build." So someone is going to be someone's going to be fitter and faster than you genetically. Like you can't help
yeah,
that shit.
yeah,
But also you have to earn your zone two. You have to earn your fitness, and if you don't
okay,
do it consistently, you ain't having it. It goes away
okay,
quickly. So yeah, after 2 to 3 weeks, you'll start to lose your fitness capacity. So you have to constantly top it up. So if you don't have any levels of fitness and any base level of training, you're going to struggle to stick to a zone two. So if that is you, RPE until you get to like 6, 7K. If you have got a background of fitness, so you, Emily, have,
yeah,
you should be able to work towards a zone two because you've got a baseline of fitness already. It will
it is.
transfer over. Does
Okay. Yeah, nice.
that
So
make sense?
what's next on the pyramid then? So you got zone
Am I
two tomorrow.
confusing? Is it too much?
No, no, honestly,
No,
it's not. Anything with this podcast, I think people will listen, take what they need, and then if it goes over the head or they want to come back to it, but I want it to be in detail
yeah,
because I do have a lot of people, interested in running. And I think it's really important information to have.
yeah.
So you
It can
got
be a
zone
little
two
bit
tomorrow.
confusing, but
Come on.
yeah, so we've got
No,
zone two at
no,
the bottom, and then we call it zone three. So this would be where we would spend like maybe 20% of the time of our training. And this
yeah,
is like, you might have heard it, people call it like the gray area. It's like the place that people tell you to not train, but it is. So we would call this maybe like a tempo run where we are going to spend time running at the desired race pace that we want. So,
okay,
for example, if you wanted to run a sub 2 half marathon, which is like a 5:40 minute per kilometer, you
yeah,
would spend one of your runs doing your zone two. So, like, that's your longer distance. You're going to build up to about 18 kilometers at that one. And then
yeah,
this one in the middle, we'll call it your tempo run. You would start running your desired race pace, maybe at like for 1 kilometer. And then slowly over time, you're going to build that to 2 times 1 kilometer, 3 times 1 kilometer, 4 times 1 kilometer. And
right.
then over time, we're going to build that until you become adapted and more efficient at the pace that you want to run. Does that make sense?
Love it. Yeah,
Yeah. So you
that,
can't just run a sub
yeah,
two half. You need maybe genetically, if some people
yeah,
can, but most people will need to build from 1 kilometer or 500 meters at that pace, slowly adding it over time. So they'll
yeah.
do maybe you get up to 7 lots of 1 kilometer with a 2 minute rest, and then all of a sudden maybe you do 2 kilometers, then you do three,
Mm.
then four. Then does that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And then so
So
you've
that's
got
our
zone
next
two, zone
layer
three.
up.
What's at the top of the pyramid?
So zone 4 to 5 is like we call it like threshold anaerobic. So anaerobic technically is called training without oxygen, which
Yeah,
it would be impossible because we die. But
yeah,
our body doesn't have the ability to use the oxygen like it does when we're training at the easy. So it means that you
mhm,
will not be able to sustain this for a long period of time.
mhm,
This is where people, excuse my French, fuck it up when they go into races. They push to a 90 to 100% effort because they're
yeah,
like, I want to get faster in this race, but they are not fit enough. So when you go over that period of time, your body cannot sustain it. So if you're
mm,
someone that's like, I'm going to go and try and run 5K as fast as I can, and you fucked it and you couldn't finish it, that's because you trained over your threshold and where your body has the capacity to train. Does that make sense?
So much
So
sense. And go on.
to increase that, to make that
Mhm.
higher, to get fitter, these are the sort of runs that you would look where you're doing like 50 meters, 100 meters, 200 meters, but at like 90 to 100% effort. So short,
Yeah.
short, fast with like a longer break to allow your body to recover. No different to like HIIT training. That's essentially the
Yeah.
replication.
100%.
You couldn't do jump squats for 15 minutes
No. Yeah.
unless you're
Or
David
30
Goggins.
minutes. Yeah.
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 I
So
think
try and view it
properly.
as that, as like we do a high intensity interval training, like you do short, sharp, that will get you fitter, but also your low intensity will get you fitter. So
Yeah.
most people want to try and have a mix of all of them throughout their training
Yeah.
to get fitter.
Yeah. I love that. And do you think this is, I personally think this is why so many people say, I can't run. And you've
Well, because
explained
they
that
train at zone
beautifully.
5 straight away.
Well, yeah, I just think they think I'm gonna go for a run and I'm gonna run around the block, and they miss out zone 2, miss out zone 3, full pelt zone
Bomb.
4.
Yeah.
I do feel like, because
Every
you've done
time.
high rocks, haven't you? You've done
No, I
high rocks.
haven't actually.
Yeah,
No, I
I thought
haven't.
you
No.
had, but I
Oh,
feel
Jess
like both of
does.
you have trained similarly, in the past. But like, I think I've definitely pushed the threshold when I've competed in CrossFit and stuff, and it is dire and fucking horrible and
Yeah,
just
your throat is on fire. You feel sick.
bloody
Yeah.
iron, yeah. And I feel like that is what, if anyone's listening is thinking, that's what I feel like when I run, you have just
Everyone does
explained
it.
beautifully. That is why you
Everyone.
can't run, is because you need to earn that fitness of that
Yeah.
zone 2, relaxing, enjoying, to then be able to get there. And I feel like that's why people get put off with running, is they think
Definitely.
that zone 4 is what running is, and it's not.
Yeah. And people go into it, sorry, but everyone does
Yeah,
it.
go on.
Oh, I'm so unfit. Of course you're unfit. You haven't fucking trained. Like you literally, like we've got two bases. Like genetically, people are favored for running, and some
Yeah.
people will be naturally born with the ability to be faster than you, and that sucks, but it is life. Most of us have to earn the fitness, so it takes time. I'm even genetically favorable because I'm
Mm.
slim, I've got skinny calves, and I'm only 60
Mm.
kilos. So I am favorable to be faster because I'm smaller.
Mm.
But you have to earn that fitness, and you can't
Mm.
just run and get the pace. So that's where people miss out, is your running needs to be a combination of lots of the easy stuff, even athlete runners. So the elite runners on the London Marathon field will do 80% zone 2 still.
Amazing.
20% of the rest. Yeah, so they get that fit still doing that. But most
Yeah.
people go 80% zone 4 to 5.
Yeah.
No, they go 100% because they're
Yeah.
not fit. So like for example, if you were starting out running and you were 80 kilos, you were very new
Yeah.
to fitness, we would start with a walk run. So like 1 minute
Yeah.
walk, 20 seconds slow jogging, 1 minute
Yeah.
walk. Because
Yeah.
your heart rate is going to continuously be up. And even in the walk, that person is still going to be in zone 2. So they're building
Yeah.
the fitness. Or I'd say go
Yeah.
and sit on the bike for 20 minutes. Build the
Yeah.
fitness in a slightly different way, and then you get there.
I do. Yeah, I love that. I do feel like running is an uncomparable fitness to anything else.
Oh yeah,
Like,
it's insane. And like I said, like unfortunately genetics plays such a big part in it. So if
yeah.
you see someone running their first marathon at like a 3:30 and you're like, what the fuck, why is it taking me 6 hours? If
Yeah.
they're 50 kilos and 5 foot, like genetics will favor them to be
Quite
faster.
hard. Yeah. And
Yeah, it will, like,
I
yeah.
don't know what you think. I feel like I keep saying that. I'm so scared of saying something and you just absolutely cancelling me and be like, no,
I will not tear you in your arsehole, don't worry.
no. Like, so for me, I also do feel like being lighter logically makes running a bit easier, because you're not
Yeah.
carrying as like long distance running. So I, shout out to me, pre-pregnancy, ran a 10k 53:57. I was buzzing,
Mhm.
like I was like, go me. And then the one that I've just done was like 50, 59, 57, like 7 minutes. But you know what,
Yeah.
6 months after a C-section, that's fine. But I felt, because I was heavier, and obviously as well, taking into account no sleep, recovery and all that, I don't know, I just feel like for me that was one of the reasons I like to be a little bit lighter, because it makes me feel fitter when I'm running.
Yeah, of course. It's like you're literally so you've got a couple of different elements. One, I would say to you, you would have taken time off running for your
Yes.
C-section. So
Yeah.
after 2 to 3 weeks, your VO2 max will start to drop. That and
Yeah.
that's just evidence. Like I've had to take the best part of 10 months off running.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I can barely run 1 kilometer at how fast I ran my 3:39 marathon. Like I can't, and that unfortunately is just part of if you don't use it, you lose it with running.
Lose it.
But
Yeah.
then also, it's like you're basically running with a 10 kilo vest on now, so you've
Yeah.
lost fitness, and
Yeah.
now you're added a vest. So yeah, like
Yeah.
100%. Like if you don't continue your training, you will lose that fitness. That
Yeah.
and that's people get so frustrated, and I'm like, it just is like it's science. Like you can't. It's
Yeah.
shit. Hate the
It's
science.
shit, but
Yeah,
yeah.
but yeah, you are right. And also, like, this sounds so silly, like technical, but there's different things that affect it, like the thickness of your calves would impact how fast you can be as a runner. But if you worked at it for long enough and you were consistent enough and you were holding more weight, so say you just naturally sat at 80 kilos and you were happy there,
Yeah.
if you continue to build over time and you worked on it, you would get fitter.
Yeah. You yeah, I
100%.
get that. Like, don't get me wrong, there's people who are in bigger bodies than me that are fucking well fitter and faster at me. Like, yeah, but
Yeah,
for
but
me,
that's just the foundations, isn't it? Like they've just built
yeah,
the foundations consistently for longer. But if you started running and someone who started running at 50 kilos with exactly the same level of fitness, they would beat you because they haven't
yeah,
got to move as much weight. And that,
yeah.
again,
And I think
it's just
that's
the
something
truth.
like yeah, it's because I do have. I don't know about you. You probably definitely actually, because you're a running coach anyway. But I feel like a lot of people when they watch the London Marathon, you then get all these messages from clients saying, "I've entered the London Marathon. Like I've
Yeah,
got it
everyone does it
going."
because everyone does it
Yeah,
because it like there's so many the amazing thing about London Marathon is it's the only marathon that people will enter that would never pay to do a marathon. I think that's
yeah,
what's so special about London Marathon is like my dad who's 65 did it after recovering from cancer.
wow,
Only a few months after, he would never have paid for a marathon, but there he went on sub 5, 65, recovering from
amazing.
cancer. Yeah, like, but that's what's so special. But it's annoying that for some people that so many people enter, but also like if you get it, you get it, and that like
Yeah,
it was always meant to be.
goosebumps. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was always meant
Do
to
not
be.
get a
Yeah.
place and not do it though is my only word because that's not fair.
Say that again.
I said it, but if you get a place, you've got to do it because it's not fair on all those people that didn't get
Yeah,
one.
that's it. Well, and I say a lot to my clients. So clients who are with me for fat loss and then sign up to the marathon, I'm like, look, this is awesome, amazing, but you've got a year to get there. I would focus on like you just solidified it for me. Zone 2, but focus on fat loss because you are going to feel a hell of a lot better being a little bit
Yeah,
lighter
and
going
build
into
your
that
base
training.
now. Yeah, and
Yeah,
and the thing is, like, if you get a place in London Marathon, don't start your 16-week fucking training block. Like, start now. Get good at
yeah,
running, like 10, 15K. Get comfortable. Make it
comfortable. Yeah.
normal. Make it normal. So that's you've built the foundations. Don't start
Mm-hmm.
it too late because that's how people get injured, and yeah, it all
Mm-hmm.
starts there.
I love that. Let's cover them quickly. I think a lot of people know the benefits. Are there any
Yeah.
benefits, babe, that you would say people don't maybe know, or anything that you think is a real benefit to running?
I think most people do like you've got like stress reduction, increased
Yeah.
endorphins, cardiovascular health, muscle and bone density, like weight management. Like I think that they're just your generalist. And I think
Mm-hmm.
like we spoke about maybe thinking about cons as well, because you said would
Yeah.
there be
Yeah.
any
Is there any
I
cons to
think too
running?
much of anything has an adverse effect, doesn't it? And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the same with running, is like it can put additional stress on the body, it can increase stress hormone if it's done wrong. So if you do it too
Mm-hmm.
much too soon and you get
Yeah.
too much muscular fatigue, and like 50 to 70% of runners get injured every year. So it is higher risk, yeah, of
Yeah.
any sort of injury. But I also think if you manage it correctly, you can enjoy it. But like, do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? You could literally walk outside, fall off the curb, and twist your ankle. So, like,
100%. There's a
we're
risk.
not, we're not, yeah,
I
we
think
always get
there's
niggles
a
and
risk with
tweaks just
anything,
in daily
isn't
life.
there? Yeah, the risk of anything, and you have to weigh up. Like, there's a risk with anything and everything, but what's the risk versus the reward? So yes, same
Yeah,
as CrossFit. We get bashed all the time. CrossFit's same. I'm like,
exactly. Yeah, I
yeah,
think it's like
people
people
go in,
start
they
the
do
crazy
too
running
much, they go too
challenges.
heavy. Same with running, they do too
Yeah,
far, too quick. Oh, I got
Yeah,
injured,
like
run is bad for me. Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
it's not. No, it's like people. They're like, oh fuck it, I'm going to start running every day. Of course you're going to get injured, like literally. But
Exactly.
yeah, the thing with injuries is like most injuries, unless they're accidents, are an accumulation of fatigue over time. So I always describe it to my clients. I'm like, you won't see it now, but if I hit a spoon on the glass, eventually
Yeah.
it would break. But
Yeah.
over time, it needs to take the wear and tear. So that's the same as your body. Is you will
Mhm.
accumulate runner's knee by consistently overtraining and under
Yeah.
recovering. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's where what I do comes in handy, because it's called load management. So we're just taking our time to slowly build things over time, but you just accumulate fatigue over time. So I think even like for me, I did everything that I could possibly ever do to take care of my body whilst running, but I
Yeah.
have a spinal injury, which was probably caused by the impact of running, but there was nothing that I could have done about it. And would I ever change it? No. I would do that
No.
marathon over again, knowing that I've now had to go through what I did, because it was fucking amazing. It's the best thing I've ever done
Yeah.
in my life.
And you
Yeah. And
rehab
it,
him properly. And I think as well, something with the run, like we were just saying again, like with injury, nutrition plays a massive part into it. You know, if
mhm.
you're on a mission to lose fat and you want to start running, like, but you're still not going to change your diet, you're not going to refuel properly, you know, put the right whole foods in your body, then you're probably going to feel a bit crap and not recover properly as well, which obviously can then lead to injury
Definitely.
as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like actually just the impact of fueling around a run. And it doesn't mean that like fuel, I think people, the misconception of fueling is like, oh, I need to eat a fuck ton of carbs. Like it's
Yeah.
not. It's just eat your breakfast after you finish the run, because the fatigue will come later on
Yeah.
when your body, where you're going to go into a huge calorie deficit after, if you do a really big run. You're not going to refuel. You'll feel fine for a few hours, and then you're going to bonk later in the day. And then
Yeah.
you are going to be like crawling yourself out of it, and
Yeah.
that's when you're going to eat too much. So it's just actually pre-run, have some sort of carbs, like handful of dates, handful of dried fruits, banana. Post-run, protein, carbs, fats in
Yeah.
balanced meal, and you'll be fine. You'll make it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's it, isn't it? A lot of people just so focused on that. Okay, so let's I'm gonna save that one till the end. Let's just cover then. Got two more things. I said to you when I messaged you, can we just quickly cover the importance or your opinion of the importance of resistance training whilst running? Because we've just
Mm.
covered a lot of people say I'm going to start running, they sack off everything else. I'm very passionate, go for running, love it, think it's great for loads of reasons. I personally think that you should do some strength and conditioning alongside it, postural, core work, because that's only going to make you running better. What's your opinion on that?
With the right balance and the right strength training, yes. I
Okay.
think the problem we're seeing now is that we've got a huge trend of influencers who have strength trained for aesthetics, who are then running marathons, and then they're just bonking the same two together.
Yeah.
Aesthetic training doesn't support marathons. Like
Uh-huh.
that's the thing. So just because people look good and have muscle doesn't mean that their bodies are strong.
Yeah.
So
Agree.
the strength that we need is most of the time invisible. It's like transverse abdominis, stability work,
Yeah.
single leg work, core work,
Yeah.
as you've just said. Like
Yeah.
that's the work that's actually going to support your body, not
Yeah.
how heavy can you hip thrust. And that was something that I learned the hard way as well in my running journey. You know, I didn't understand that right at the beginning. So I was doing
Yeah.
both,
You
and I
need
was
to
like,
do both. Yeah.
I'm fucked. Yeah, I was fucked because
Yeah.
I was trying to PB on a squat, PB on a deadlift, and then trying to run my fastest half marathon. My central nervous system couldn't cope with that, and it wasn't the right thing to be doing. So
Yeah.
it's then understanding, like, I agree with you, strength training is so important, but it's finding the right way. So a basic understanding, you need to strengthen your glutes, singular leg. So glute kickback, single leg press, Bulgarian split squats, reverse lunges, like just making sure we're actually single leg, because we run with one leg. We
Yeah.
don't run with two legs. So if you're doing at the moment hip thrusts, leg presses, just swap them for single leg,
Yeah. Love
because
that.
we're going to get more benefit from that. And then training laterally. So rather than
Yeah.
all bodybuilding training is like push, pull,
Yeah.
you run, you go side to side. So people are weak here to here. So again, like maybe just adding in, rather than doing a lunge, doing a lateral lunge,
Yeah.
so that you're strong from
So
side to
making it
side.
like sport specific.
Yeah, literally. And
Yeah.
then like things that people need to do are plyometrics. So literally standing on one leg and hopping from side to side. will
Yeah.
help your body to get used to it, training your calves, training your tibs. So there's just like different variations that we would add to the strength training. But I agree with you, we shouldn't take it out. But what we notice people doing is adding 3 runs on top of 4 strength sessions. And it's like, how is your
And then
body
you
gonna,
recover.
yeah, like
Yeah.
how is your body gonna adapt to that? And the volume of training needs to be different. Like you can, but it's like, what risk are you gonna run into in a year's time training
Yeah.
like a bodybuilder and then running like an athlete? Like they're,
Athlete. Yeah. It's
it's
like
like we
a
need to try and combine them together a little bit differently.
and I
So
think that circles round, doesn't it, to how we literally started this pod of like people are seeing running as a means to an end from a physique point of view, but actually we talked
yes,
about that it's not. Like it can
no,
be
no, you're
factored
like you're
in, but like you
yes.
just hit the nail on the head, and like people are seeing on Instagram these people who are bodybuild training and then doing things like high rocks half marathons, full marathons, and people are seeing their physique and thinking that's what I
I
need
can
to
do
do.
that. I have people coming
Yeah.
to me. They're like, I want to train for a high rock, so I want to do a fast half. I want to lose fat, and I want to build my glutes. And I'm like, impossible. Because you just can't. We need to phase all of them, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love that we are cross training so much. I love that people are getting strong. They want to look good. They want to be fit. Like
Yeah.
running is probably the best thing that ever trended because it's so
Yeah.
good for people's health, but it's help it's that not a lot of people yet have the knowledge to understand how to do it, which is why I decided to study to be a running coach. And because
Yeah.
running coaches, when I speak to them, they have no idea about nutrition, they have no idea about strength training, and it's like, okay, well, we need in the middle, which is why I've done what I've done, because I'm like, I want to be one of those people
Wow.
that's in the middle. So a
Yeah.
lot of running coaches
A lot
don't
of
tell
running
people
coaches.
what food to have. No.
That's
Yeah,
mind
it's
blowing.
great. Yeah, so I was like, why is there such a big gap between the two? Like,
Yeah.
we've got influencers doing one thing, and look, at the end of the day, like we're so influenced by things that we see on social media, and it's so hard for people to make the right decisions now because there is so much out there. But you have influencers who have run their first marathon releasing marathon guides when they're not even qualified PTs. So it's like, first of
Mm.
all, if you're going to take advice of someone, make sure they're like, at least experienced in the field.
Yeah.
And studying the qualifications and doing it and learning. But yeah, like that's where I wanted to like step in that middle gap and try and help people find the balance between both and do it injury free.
I really respect that because that is definitely something because I have run I feel very inadequate now. But because I've run like my 10 I've done half marathons, I've done 10Ks, I've done 5Ks all in the past. I'll be dead honest, hands up. I never this is years ago by the way as well, not like last year.
But we all went, don't feel inadequate because I went through that experience as well. I got patella
Yeah,
tendinopathy for 8 months. I couldn't train because I was doing the same running mistakes. So I had to make
yeah,
the mistake to
to learn from
learn
it.
because I was
And that's
training
why
like a
I feel like
bodybuilder and I was
yeah,
running in zone five.
I feel like now, yeah, like what so I trained through distance. So I used to do like a bit of fartlek training, and then I would do a long run, and I would do like a shorter. I probably was doing what you said with unintentionally doing it. I don't know, like
Yeah,
because I wasn't
because
tracking heart rate,
yeah,
but I
we
was
used
doing a
to like
long run, shorter threshold
people.
run, a sprint run. Yeah,
Perfect, yeah, because people never used to have watches.
yeah. Well, I
Like
didn't. Yeah,
Paula Radcliffe probably didn't have a fucking Garmin on her wrist, did she? She just
mm,
learned through effort. So that's why when I say RPE, you can train with RPE successfully.
yeah,
Like you can train with effort levels. It just depends on like how much data you want. But yeah, like I think as coaches, we've become successful in what we do because we've made the mistakes and then we've invested our time in learning and studying about it to teach others to not make the mistake. Which is why
yeah.
we are both sat here teaching other people how to not make the mistakes that we did. Otherwise, we would have
Exactly.
never
Yeah.
learned. Yeah,
I
I've been
definitely
there.
want
Yeah,
to get better at the running help because, like you said, it's a really positive thing. It's not going anywhere, but I want to learn to be better at giving people 5K, 10K plans comfortably, safely, like knowing how to do it. Because, like I said, I've only ever done it on my experience. That's what I'm building off, and yeah, I just feel like I would like to be better. Quick question then. Do you recommend any running apps that people could go, okay, I do want to start running, can't invest in a coach, just want to get to a 5K.
Yeah, I think like Couch to 5K is always a winner, isn't it? It's
Right,
always a
okay.
winner. I have a free 5K guide actually as well. I built one to help people to get to their first 5K and to build 5K speed. So welcome to have that. And then
Yeah,
I think Runner is probably the biggest one out there at the moment, isn't it? Like
yeah,
it's the only problem, obviously, with apps, like no different to if you were going to coach for an app vs actually having a coach, is that it's not specific. It's Runner is the most specific. So you say, I'm running this at the moment, I want to run this at this pace, and they will build you a plan, but they don't take into account if you've been over ambitious and you can't meet the paces, or
yeah, yeah,
if
yeah, yeah,
your
yeah,
dog's sick and you couldn't train for the end of the week and you need to move some sessions. Like it doesn't account those things. So that's the only thing that, again, where people run into the similar problems of doing it on their own. But yeah, I think
yeah.
Runner's probably the best one to go for.
And obviously, I don't know whether you do. Do you get nutrition advice on Runner?
No, no,
No.
don't think
I
so.
think that's
No.
massive. I think nutrition is massive when it comes to running.
Yeah.
Like, if
Oh,
you,
like do people bonk marathons? People are like, oh yeah, I was on for a sub 4, but this happened. I'm like, you were never on for a sub 4, because the what we're missing is that a sub 4 marathon is the execution equal of training and nutrition.
on nutrition.
So, like for
Okay.
example, Simon did his Ironman. Like he didn't get the goal that he wanted because the nutrition was the bit that he put so much time and effort into, but he just didn't quite get it right. So it's like we have to master all areas in order to be successful. Like I went from a 4:15 marathon to a 3:39 from
That's insane.
with only one marathon in between them, because of just the execution on learning, studying, understanding the right paces, but putting so much effort into the nutrition. Like that, I was dedicated and committed to not losing a pound of body fat because I really wanted to execute what is that I needed, and I needed a gel strategy, a nutrition strategy. How do I feel? And this is not to put people off, but it's to help you understand that if you are gen pop like me and you're not just naturally fast, to get
Yeah,
faster, you have to put 50% into both. Like you
into
need
both.
to
Yeah,
understand that, yeah. And there's just the basics. I'm always happy to share the basics. Like I put a lot on my Instagram about when to fuel, how what to have before, how to
you do.
fuel. It's not a
Just in
secret.
case we
Yeah.
forget, just give your Instagram now in case I miss it at the end. I'll tag it in the comments anyway. But where can people follow you?
It's so funny. I've actually got to double check what my username is because I don't know where the underscore is. It's train with underscore Anna. I've only
Have you
had it
just
for six
changed that
years.
since then?
What's that?
Have you just changed
No,
that, or
I
have you
just
just
couldn't remember where the underscore was, whether it was under the first bit or not. I don't normally get like never say it.
do you not? Oh,
No.
that's so funny. Mine's at underscore em.howard. I always know. I hate that the underscore is at the beginning. Okay, let's
Oh,
wrap up then, babe. Just before we
no.
finish then. Just
Yeah.
best bits of advice, babe, for anyone who's listening and you've inspired them, because you've inspired me, who wants to think about,
Good.
okay, I do want to run, whether that's a 5K, 10K, half marathon. To start, what's your best bits of advice to go, right, this is where you need to go from here?
So for someone like literally just getting started with running,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, oh god, that's a tough question actually because they'd be different for all of them. Um, do you mean let's be more specific?
Okay. Let's do,
Sorry.
don't worry. Let's just think, right, half marathons in September, October, people have signed up to it. They can run a mile. What do you reckon?
Okay, so 3 runs a week would be your optimal.
Yep,
Get in your different zones, your zone 2, your tempo, and your zone 4 to 5. So
yep,
make sure you're focusing on your different zones, even if that is like different effort levels, and
yep,
fuel those bloody runs like that. I
yep.
think that's probably the biggest bit of advice that I could give you is have a banana before, have gels after 40 minutes, every 20 to 30 minutes. Like make sure that you are having your fuel. No, do you know what the biggest bit of advice is? Stop
What?
skipping running warm-ups. You've got to
Oh
do
yeah, you love
got to
that on
do
your
a running
Instagram,
warm
don't
up.
you?
I do, yeah, because you're literally asking for an injury.
Yeah.
Literally, it's like you going into the gym and squatting 80 kilos without prepping for it.
After back off. Yeah, true that.
Yeah, literally, it's not. That's how I would frame it. So just making sure that you're not doing static stretches, doing dynamic. So heel kicks,
Moving.
high
Yeah,
knees, skipping to
yeah.
the side, literally like just dancing around like a fool will help you get blood flow to the
You
muscle.
will be proud of me, because even though I didn't do my heart rate training for my 10K, I always made sure I did my warm up.
Mm,
Always. Yeah,
Lovely.
always
And
like
that's all that
all,
matters.
all of that. Yeah. In fact, I put it.
Yeah.
All I do is put my clock on 5 minutes on my phone, and
Yeah.
it might not be the same warm up all the time, but it has the components of the same warm up. And I'm like 5 minutes, warm up, go. And was doing like a lot of mobility, core rehab, pelvic floor reaction stuff because obviously I had the baby. So
Hmm.
that's what I was doing in my warm up as well.
Perfect. Yeah, I think the only mistake people make is like static stretching, which is where you're like stretching your hamstring or
Holding it.
stretching your quad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not actually anything that would help. That would actually worsen the performance of the run.
Right.
So we
Okay.
want the muscle to be
Warm.
like stiff, but we want it to be warm. Yeah. So just literally body weight squats, body weight lunges, high knees, heel kicks. Like you said, stick a timer on for 5 minutes, dance around, look like an idiot, get your heart rate up, take a minute, and then get yourself out there.
Trying to set you up. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And then I am going to ask one more thing. We're on
Go
45
for
minutes,
it.
so this is my cut off, right? But
Yeah.
so we've
I'm
covered
in no rush. You're good.
advice to start running. Yeah.
Yeah.
Advice for someone who I'm really going to put you on the spot now.
Go for it.
Advice to someone who wants fat loss but wants to
Yeah.
incorporate running as well. Like
And that's
wants fat
someone,
loss but wants to get running. Like is
I
happy to
think,
warm up to like a 10K. They don't want to run half marathons.
yeah, it's starting with moderation, isn't it? So, like, that's the most important thing is like starting with the distances, giving yourself more time than you think to build up to the 10K
Yeah.
and just not over rushing it. So, start with 2 runs per week until you get to 10K. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say that unless you're training for a fast 10K, you don't need to run more than twice a week and just find a perfect balance between 2 runs, 2 gym, couple of rest days. Like, that is going to allow you to recover, not overdo it. You're going to have to moderate your hunger a lot better. And if you want to lose body fat and you've got time, get some steps in on top of the runs, but depends what
Yeah.
time you've got.
Perfect answer. And again, just reassured me because that's exactly what I did for my 10K.
You're like,
I was
yes, right. You're basically
like,
answering right. Am I doing the right?
yeah. Let me just ask what I've been doing now. That's exactly what I did for my 10K. Two runs a week because obviously I had maybe not all that in, but I wanted to strength train. I wanted to lose weight. And there was no time. I wanted to get under an hour subconsciously, but actually I was like, it doesn't matter. I just want to finish. And I think, anytime that you start focusing on you want to run for a time or performance, I think you really need to look at your performance is then you want your performance more than you want your physique, and that's where like you don't want to be under fueling because essentially, like you said
I think you
before,
can do it
fat
with
loss
your 10.
is under fueling with a calorie deficit. If you want to perform well, you've got to fuel well.
Yeah, definitely. I think you can perform well with a 10, I think, with dieting. But when you're then
Yeah,
starting to go over 10 into the half, like that's when you need to be more careful, strategic, more food on those certain days. And then there needs to be a cut-off point of, yeah, how intense is this? And if you're just not recovering, like like you said, you got to think about it. So that's the advice that I give to my ladies as well. I'm like, right, this is our cut-off point. You're not losing fat anymore. And they're like, oh, and I'm like, stuff shit.
but no,
Like, yeah, I don't want
honestly,
you to end up in a
thing
bad
that I
place.
do. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that's a really good. If you do want to lose fat and have a performance goal, put the performance goal later on and give yourself a window of,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to do a bit of the performance stuff, but my aim is fat loss. Because once that window is gone, you're then not trying to lose fat anymore. And I feel like from
You can enjoy it
I'm a
so
big fan of,
much more.
I'm a big fan of phases for fat loss and giving specific dates and saying to my clients, you're having a diet break on this date, so put the work in now because that's what's happening, and that does help. Whereas if you're just like, oh, want to lose the stone before the marathon, but you've got no plan of when you're stopping, like, yeah, you're just not helping yourself.
Yeah, and exactly that. Like, I think that performance is a really great way for people to focus on something after fat loss, because after fat loss some people can feel a little bit like, well, what's the purpose now? So
Yes.
what is a really great way is to say, I'm going to lose this body fat, build some fitness whilst I'm doing it,
Yeah.
and then as soon as I've done that and we reverse our calories, it's a perfect way to reverse your diet, and then be like, right, now fuck it, I'm going to get fast, I'm going to get fit, I'm going to get strong, and then you can push it.
Exactly.
So yeah, like I think we can get rushed so much on social media because so many people are performing and achieving, and I know how that feels now, not being able to do it. But there's always a time and place for it, and it's like picking your time at the right rate. And my last bit of advice is please get fit first, and then book your event. Don't book your event and use that to get fit, because quite often people don't give themselves enough time, and that's when people get injured. So
Mm-hmm.
build the baseline of the fitness, and then make sure you love it, and then book the event.
Yeah.
Because a
I
lot of
think it's
people
hard, isn't it?
put
Because like I just
themselves
said,
off.
you have people that get on a treadmill, they do 5 minutes, and they're like, I didn't want to die. I'm going to book a half marathon for 2 months' time. It's not enough time. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a big commitment as well. Like running a marathon is incredible, but it's very time consuming in terms of like you could be running for 4 hours one weekend. Like it's a long time. So it's just it's making sure that you actually freaking love it. Because I see so many people go through the process, they train too hard, too quickly, get injured, and then they hate it. And it's like actually, if you just took your time, you could really just enjoy and embrace like how amazing running is. Like it's literally a free gift of
Oh,
energy, fitness. Like I am so passionate about it. Can you tell it? Every time I watch
yeah.
someone run a marathon, I cry. I cry so much when I watch London Marathon. And I was like,
Yeah, it's
oh,
a lot, isn't it?
I
I
just love
always
it.
cry.
Yeah, it is a free
Maybe
gift.
in my
It's
lifetime, I will run a marathon in my lifetime, and you can
you
coach me
should.
for
It would
it.
be probably not the best thing that's ever happened to you because you've got a baby, but it would be amazing.
Yeah, one of them. Yeah, I will. In my lifetime, I will do it. I'm just not in the headspace for it yet because I'm aware of how much dedication and stuff it needs. But I will. Right, Anne, I'm happy. Anything, I think you've nailed it, mate. I really do. I think you really did a really good job of explaining everything. And I think
Thank
this is going
you.
to be a podcast that is super helpful for so many women. Is there anything else that you'd like to add on, or you happy, you're all good?
No, I'm happy. Thanks so much for having me. Much
Yeah, it's been
appreciated.
fun. I think that running as a gift was an absolute perfect ending
Oh, I love it
to
so
this
much. It is the
podcast.
best.
Yeah. But guys, Anna Moon, go and follow her. Train with
Yeah,
_Anna on Instagram.
got it.
Got it. Okay. And I've been
Nailed it.
empowered. And we will see you again soon. If anyone's got any questions, please, feel free to drop me or Anna a message. And we will see you next week. And yeah,
Bye.
bye.